Explaining the iceberg of the greatest alleged time travelers. At the top of the iceberg, we find Mike Tyson's fight traveler. In footage from a Mike Tyson boxing match in 1995, a man appears holding an object that looks exactly like a modern smartphone, even recording with what appears to be a flash. At the time, this was impossible. The most accepted explanation is that he was using one of the first digital cameras with an LCD screen, devices so rare that most people had never seen anything like it, making it seem far ahead of its time. Going a little deeper, we have John Titor, one of the most famous stories about time travelers on the internet. He claimed to be a soldier in the US government in the year 2036, posting online in the early 2000s. He described time travel technology and made frightening predictions, including a future civil war in the United States. Years later, his story was exposed as an elaborate hoax, but many of his claims still fuel debate to this day. Descending further, the hipster time traveler. A photograph from the 1940s shows a crowd of people dressed in period clothing, except for one man. He's wearing sunglasses, a modern-style t-shirt, and holding a portable camera that supposedly didn't exist at the time. The contrast is so striking that many believe he simply didn't belong in that era. And in the middle of the iceberg, Greta Thunberg. A viral conspiracy theory claims that Greta Thunberg appears in an 1898 photograph showing a child bearing a striking resemblance to the activist. This has led some to believe that she was a time traveler sent to save the planet. In reality, the photo shows a young gold miner, and the resemblance is nothing more than a coincidence, if that. Explaining the iceberg of the greatest alleged time travelers. Part 2. Opening the fifth layer, we arrive at Andrew Carlson. In 2002, a man named Andrew Carlson allegedly turned just $800 into $350 million by making impossibly accurate trades on the stock market. When questioned, he claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2025-60, using knowledge of the future to profit. He was arrested, and shortly thereafter, all charges were mysteriously dropped. Carlson then disappeared without a trace. Going a little deeper, we have the traveler from Taured. In 1954, a man arrived at Tokyo Airport with a passport from a country that does not exist, called Taured. He spoke several languages and insisted that his nation had existed for over 1,000 years. The authorities detained him in a locked hotel room, guarded overnight. In the morning, he had disappeared, leaving no explanation. In the penultimate layer, the man who photographed Jesus. In the 1980s, writer J.J. Benitez claimed to have received confidential documents from a U.S. Air Force major. The files described a project called Chronovisor, in which military observers allegedly traveled back in time, witnessed the crucifixion, and even photographed Jesus. Officially dismissed as fiction, but believers insist that these images were real and hidden. And, at the very bottom of the iceberg, the astronaut in the 1600s. Carved into the wall of a centuries-old church, built between the 1600s and 1800s, is a figure that looks strikingly similar to a modern astronaut. If space travel only began recently, why does this image exist? Coincidence, symbolism, or proof that someone saw the future long before we were meant to?